Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Fleetyards Mission Briefings. I'm Captain Foley,
And Colonial Cousins, welcome back, guys.
and as always here on Fleetyards Mission Briefing, we're looking at one of the ships from any of the sci-fi franchises out there. There's so many. There's so many cool ships to look at, and this one is from one of the more popular ones, I think, because there's kind of two series in a way. Original, and the new school. Samuel's done some great renders for us in 1080p, as always, of this fantastic ship. But what ship are we looking at today, Samuel?
Well, you're right. Well, there's a TOS brand. We've done the TOS version, but this is the reboot, or the modern, or the remastered, or this is the Colonial Raptor from the reimagined Battlestar Galactica. Now, it is worth mentioning that these models, this is the studio asset of the Raptor. We're so incredibly amazed and grateful to be using these assets. So again, just as we do for Trekyards, this is a documentary piece because we actually have the real one. And you've seen a couple of those on this channel now, hopefully at this point, and you'll see even more in the future. So, Stuart, have you seen this design before? Do you recognise it from your...
Of course, yes, good. Absolutely.
So what's your impression of this design then?
It speaks very real world military design to me. It looks like a helicopter. You could add rotors and a tail on that thing, and it looks like an Apache helicopter, the same kind of style. I mean, it would work very well, even just putting wings on it, making it like a fighter craft. Very realistic, and that's one of the things I like about BSG is the realism of all the designs. Although, that being said, looking at the back of it, just first glance, I get a Starbug vibe for some reason from Red Dwarf.
Yes. Using chemical engines has its limitations, as you can imagine. I adore this ship. I don't know why it really speaks to me in terms of, like I say, very real, very... I would like one of these in my backyard. I feel like it'd be fun to fly, very maneuverable, has fast and light, has weapons, it has a weapon variant. And I mean, look at the detail of this 3D model. I mean, it's an absolutely glorious model. This was the redone version by Pierre Droulet for the TV iteration of the show. The miniseries had slightly different models. They were all redone and up detailed, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on as a little tease. But this is the standard Raptor variant from the main show, sort of season 1 onwards. Anything shout out to you, scream out to you for this initial shot?
Not really. Just like I said, it looks very modern helicopter-ish to me.
I remember when I first saw it, I mean, BSG was... That miniseries really took me by surprise how good it was. And every design was a hit out of the park for me. Especially, that you saw the Firefly, you saw Enterprise in the shots for some reason. Weird Easter eggs. And this was just one of those hit it out of the park. I mean, to design something, because of the original series, the Vipers are very similar. The BSG is quite similar. This is something new, and I think, like I said, hit out of the park, as well. Can be bomber, can be reconnaissance craft, can be transport ship, can be, it's a very functional, varied ship, because you've got that main 2-person cockpit, then you've got that fuselage. It's a neat little ship.
So it's just the 2 people there then? There's no room in the back? I can't remember.
Oh no, like I said, there's 2 and then a fuselage. So you can fit about, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the back if you squish them. There's normally a third person. If it's on a tactical operation, you've got the pilot, and then the co-pilot, I suppose, and then or the team leader, and then at the back you've got a sort of sideways chair which faces that wall. Yeah, and he runs the radars and stuff. So it's very much for that. But now, Stuart, with fighters, we approach from Fleetyards, you're sort of it's a bit obvious of the scale, given that we can see the chairs.
Yes.
So I'm not going to ask you how big you think the ship is, but I'm going to ask you how big do you think it is compared to the other BSG ships of the universe? And for clarification, how much of BSG have you seen? Just so the audience knows.
I've seen all the original. The new one, unfortunately, I've only got halfway through season 2. Okay. Something happened to the hard drive when me and my wife were watching it. We haven't got back around to watching it again. We need to rewatch it. But
okay.
So yeah, I haven't seen the whole thing.
Okay.
I've heard all the spoilers. I know. I've seen the odd episode or piece of an episode here and there, so I've seen enough that I know what's going on.
But what do you think it compares? Do you think it's a big ship compared to the ships, the fighter style craft of the fleet? Or do you think it's very compact? Do you think it's quite bulky? Before I throw into the deep end.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's expected here. Thank you, Commander. Anyway, I'd say it's probably about the same size as a Viper, I mean,
Okay.
lengthwise probably. Um, I know that the original BSG Cylon ships carried 3 Cylons in
Mm.
them, which
Mm-hmm.
were visible. So I'd say it's comparable to that size.
Okay.
Uh, so that would be my guess.
Well, let's go into the next picture.
Cool. And that's not an original Cylon ship, is it?
This is why I like not showing you stuff in advance. It's just
Yeah.
fun to see your reaction. So
Yeah.
this is 100% studio assets, which is pretty incredible here, and I'm so thrilled to have them all. And it really is interesting. Like, you've never seen these ships together, and yes, that is a original. Because obviously, in the reimagined BSG, there still was the old BSG, but not in the same way. There was an original Cylon War, which still had the original base stars and the original Cylon Raiders, and this is
Well, that Raider's a little bit different than the TOS ones.
yes, yeah,
Just the wing shape, but yeah, other than that, it's pretty much exact. So
yeah, it's clearly a very, very obvious homage slash it
yeah.
mostly exists, and that's the scaling they chose from the spin-off movie Razor. So yeah, that's the scaling of the fighter fleet, including the Blackbird, which you probably haven't seen yet, the stealth fighter, stealth ship, which I quite like. What do you think compared to the ships of the BSG fighterverse?
Exactly what I anticipated. Yeah.
Yep.
Not surprised at all. I just want to go back to one thing that you kind of mentioned that we had just talked about before filming, is the way that BSG, the reimagined one, pays real homage to the original series by tying in those original designs of the Cylons, the ships, the Vipers. I think that's a fantastic way to do a reimagining of something. So bravo to everybody involved in that. Um, yeah, they did a fantastic job, and that's the way to do things properly, to pay homage to an original that you're rebooting. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was quite surprised when I did this render how big the Cylon Heavy Raider is. Now, this is worth saying, this is the second iteration of the Heavy Raider, the sort of production version they used in all space scenes. I mean, it is meant to be sort of, when we've seen the show, it is carrying troops, and it's carrying a lot of Cylons, and they're pretty big entities, so that's probably why. But it's still, that I guess is the equivalent to the Colonial. It's their bomber, it's their Heavy Raider, we've got the Raptor, but it's far, far bigger. And I was kind of surprised how small the Raptor is, because you feel like with that extra wingspan, it's big, but actually it is roughly the size of the Viper, because they are different functionally, they're built for different functional things. The Viper is a super honed thrust and maneuverability and firepower and ammo. The Raptor is maneuverability, but for a different purpose. So same bulk, but packaged in a different way to highlight the different strengths. One is fully honed maneuverability, one is troops, but still, I was just surprised at the scaling for that.
I haven't seen the one you're talking about. So like being used in show. I mean, so let's go to the next picture. Oh, this is cool. Seeing it combined with ships from other franchises.
Yes.
That's what we do here on Fleetyards.
That is, and to reiterate, that is the studio model of the Star Fury, of the Death Glider, of the Viper, of the Mark 9, of the Runabout, not the Runabout, sorry, the Raptor, but not of the Runabout or Gunstar. Because we saw it in the BSG universe, but was it compared to the ships of the sort of multiverse? What do you think?
This is a little more surprising to me, because I expected it to be more to scale with the Runabout. But thinking about the two-person cockpit, how close those seats were together compared to how far apart they are in the Runabout, that actually makes quite a little bit of sense to see them. See, seeing things in context is way different than kind of visualizing it in your head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love these size comparisons that you do, because they really help out with viewing later. You get to you remember these and you go, oh yeah, I can relate it to size.
The Battlestar Galactica itself is huge. It's far
Yes.
bigger than we're a Star Trek channel primarily. It's far bigger than almost any of the Star Trek ships. But the fighter craft, I mean, they are so efficiently small. I mean, it is all that power in a single man cockpit, or a Raptor. A very tight quarters, almost submarine style aft section with a very, you literally got to sort of go over the person to get, in the cockpit to get to behind. It's very cramped. Whereas the Runabout, it's 2 seats spread apart by full consoles, enough space for next 6 people. I mean, the Raptor is the entire size of the cockpit. That says something pretty big. But again, there's so much compactness in BSG, and we always think Star Trek is a small verse. But these fighters are so well honed, and I think it is realistic. How small they are. Obviously, look at it to like the Death Glider. they're using advanced alien technology to be something else, and the Star Fury is actually quite a big vessel, Gunstar. But it always surprised me how almost like flies they feel, compared. I mean, you can have an entire squadron of Vipers, flying next to the runabout, and you'd be like, is that really right? But it's like, yes, because it's a very, 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 very different functional starship. I mean, obviously, the Raptor is FTL, but it's limited in range. It isn't. It's an instant jump. Warp is it's opening a subspace tear almost and going into another layer of the universe. Whereas the BSG FTL is moving us in these different technologies. It's just fascinating, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
But the next picture is a side view of the same picture, just to show, because the top doesn't always give the full story, and again it shows how thin it is, how compact. I mean, do you take anything from this, Stuart?
Yeah, so this looks a little bit... See, the size comparisons are always interesting, too, because they either bulk them out or thin them down, and you don't really think about that from the top either. This looks more on par with the runabout that I was thinking initially, because it's the same kind of height. So, I love seeing this kind of stuff. And you're right about the compactness of the BSG ships. They're very similar to modern-day helicopters, fighters. There's not a lot of room. You got to crawl in, and you're very closed in to keep them smaller. So,
well, they really are military craft.
Yeah.
But I just want to read out a few sort of facts and figures here while we're at this point. So it's a Raptor. This is obviously the modern variant, done by military. It's got 2 sublight. It's got 2 pilots. It can hold between 5 and 10 passengers. Its roles are primarily reconnaissance and surveillance, battlefield logistics, search and rescue, and transport. And between its different iterations, it can be armed with 2 automatic cannons, 8 ship-to-ship missiles, 2 rocket pods, and two missile-based CIWS pods, and communication drones, which are separate. And it consists 28 feet or 8.6 meters long. So yeah, pretty interesting ship.
It's interesting. You said 5 to 10 people capacity. I'm looking at that next to the Viper, and I'm like, that's going to be cramped.
Yeah. They're all like sitting down and huddled. I mean, that's the escape number, or the we've got troops and everyone's not everyone's standing and not everyone's comfortable. It's not for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
5 is probably okay, but 10 you're evacuating. But Stuart, as we are wont to do here for Trekyards and Fleetyards, sorry, I put that extra bit of effort in, and we have certain connections. And this is something you're not going to know anything about because you didn't watch the show beyond a certain point. But if you go to the next picture, this is the tease picture. What do you see here? And I'll tell you what actually is here.
Well, it's like variations on the design, or modules that can be added for different purposes. So you got a attack or assault one there. The middle 2 look very similar, just the hull color is different. So maybe one's more of a stealth. I don't know. And the other one, I don't know. Just it's very odd. Maybe faster, more speed. I don't know.
So these are all the iterations of the Battlestar Galactica Raptor. Now this is a time order, sort of. So the story of this is, as I mentioned earlier, Battlestar Galactica was made by a certain company for the miniseries, and then taken on by Eden Effects with some of the team behind Star Trek. They went to work on, and a lot of those modelers redid the work. So the yellow one, or the second in line from the right, that's the original Zodiac model. That was the one used in the miniseries. That was the one. It's obviously a lot yellower. Different details, and the shapes are actually quite a lot different. And the reason I'm showing this is because we are going to do a full episode on the evolution of the Raptor, which I'm excited about. And this is just a tease for that. The one next to the left is the Standard Raptor you've been seeing, and the one to the left of that is the Assault Raptor with the miniguns and the rocket launchers and the kick-ass going to blow you away Raptor.
Now, are they the same ship, just with modules added,
Yes.
or is that a special built ship?
No, same model with added pieces. Now, the bonus here is the one on the right-hand side. Now, that is from Blood and Chrome, which was the exclusive Machinima miniseries, or web series. Yes, that Doug Drexler and his team did a primarily green screen iteration. This is the original model from that. So happy to have it, because this was the Cylon War version of the Raptor. This is the oldest and first iteration of the Raptor. Now, if you take out the yellowy one, because while it's canon, they upgraded it, whatever. So if you compare the other two, it's different in some shapes. The aft is different. It does not have FTL. It's just a craft as is. The engines are different. It's actually got an aft component. At least this iteration has an aft cockpit where there's a big minigun cannon at the bottom, which they use. It's very much a war, ship. It's always got missiles, always got machine guns, always got that aft section. Whereas later on there is no war, so they use it for other purposes. But I wanted to highlight the differences. And to show off that we'll be doing a full Raptor episode later down the line with all the iterations and all the 3D models and compare them, and that's going to be so much fun because there is some evolution or at least devolution because they were made in a different order. But it's going to be fun. Studio assets, guys. It's what we do here at Fleetyards and Trekyards, and yeah.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to that myself now.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, the assault one looks the coolest. I love that one.
It's very kick-ass. It's a lot of guns on that thing. Those miniguns really are very nicely detailed. Yes.
But let's move on to what we do here at Fleetyards Mission Briefing and talk about the different aspects of the ship. So let's go to the next picture. We got a shot of it from the back, showing off those engines and the fins.
I love how detailed this model is. It really is gorgeous. Everything is there. And like I say, big engines, big engines, obviously not on, big pylon things. I like there are these little antennas sticking out of the back.
Yeah,
I don't know if you even see those, in the show, with motion blur and movement, but they're there, looking cool. Why not?
Yeah, look amazing. I like that. Yeah, this is a neat little design. Very very functional. Very purpose built. I think it doesn't have anything extraneous on it that it doesn't need. It's just it serves its purpose. And
do you think so you see the big engines? There's like a little bit below it. In my head, those are vents, and to the right, underneath the pillars, feel like they're vents as well. What do you think? Like thrust exhaust vents and heating vents and.
Well, I think the middle ones would be vents. The ones on the side, I can see them doing some kind of different propulsion, perhaps, or like. Well, I don't know. I don't know. That's a very good question. I didn't really think about it, but.
Well, we know they have. We know they have drones, jamming drones that you can shoot at. Maybe that's part of that pod. I think a lot of the stuff it is, this is the base Raptor. You can add stuff to it, as we saw for the Assault Raptor. So a lot of stuff's probably added. But the next picture I like because it shows almost the section that we always see in the show, and therefore it's really nicely detailed. This is the door. The thing comes into the bay because they built a physical version of this. I would love to be on those sets. It would have been absolutely amazing. They open up the door. And then you walk down, and there's two little steps on the wing, which I love that. For some reason, I adore that with a passion.
Well, that speaks to modern military, like I said, too. Yeah. The F-14, you have little fold-down things in the fuselage that are steps, and they fold back up. So, yeah, that's very cool. I love that it's integrated into the wing like that.
And you can see exactly how much physical room there is in the hull. That edge, you've got the door a bit further. That is the zone. That is it. That is the ship. Everything else is engines. There's not a lot of room in there. No. And yet it's so practical and I just love that area. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. Next picture is a shot from underneath. You can see the landing gear.
Probably. Or at least the jet. I don't know if it can hover. I think there's also jets for landing, but yeah, there must be landing gear as well somewhere. I think it lands on the wings, doesn't it, surely?
I don't know. Well, that would make sense, I guess, but it looks like there's two landing gear there at the back and then one at the front because they're the same shape. I don't know. They could be the hovering thrusters, or maybe it just sets down. I don't know. You've watched the show more than I have, so.
Doesn't often land though, but I think it uses jets for the most part. But yeah, lots of great detail, subtle stuff at the front, just those little dishes, things sticking out, as you said all the time for sci-fi shows. There's just things sticking out, just pointy bits. But this is
here they're not super long, and there's not a bazillion of them. There's enough that it's functional.
And it needs to. It's a sensor platform, ship. So you need to have those sensor scanners. I mean, BSG is not particularly more advanced than we are per se.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bar FDL. So I like there's just stuff on the hull that gives it that it's scanning, it's doing something feel.
I love the kind of TOS sensor dish little things as a tie-in. That's very cool.
But the next picture is the front view, sort of a cool little perspective. I like how on the top of the two little fins, there's a green and a red signal, and on the edge of the wings as well. Little neat.
Yeah. Now you said, does this thing have guns on it?
Not the default one, but you just put missiles or machine guns on. Normally it'd be missiles, but like I say, this is just the default 3D model. But you can obviously add custom missiles as needed, as they just fit underneath the wing.
Okay. I kind of took a look back at the assault one with the guns on it. I'm wondering if those are landing gear then, because look like the guns kind of go on the bottom of those pods a little bit on the wings. So you wouldn't want to land on the guns. So I don't know. I'm just trying to figure things out. So I apologize.
It's fine. I do like though that there's a nice little nod to modern military, and again, even if you don't always know what it is, it adds a bit of realism, I think. At the top, there's a little dome, the little sensor thing, very much like the, I don't know if they call it AWACS, but the planes are those big circles. So this is more advanced, but they need the DRADUS, which is their sort of scanning of their radar, DRADUS radar, and it's got that little nod to modern technology, but more advanced, just there. It's just hanging out, and it's just neat, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Although, if you look at the front, there are 3 wires connecting. Why don't you bloody connect that and with a little bit of casing? Do you really want micrometers to hit that? I mean, can you imagine if it's zooming in and in the atmosphere, all the wires just bouncing up and down and they split? I mean, that's God, guys, come on, we found the flaw in your design. Come on,
Samuel. All right, so moving on to the next picture. This one I really like because you can see the detail on the side of the cockpit. It's got the little arrow and the little triangle thing. Those are on modern military aircraft. The little triangle. I forget what they actually say, but they're on only F-14 models and stuff. So it's a nice tie-in to the modern military there.
It's not the fuel tank, though, is it?
No, it's not. It's something to do with explosive bolts for the ejection of the canopy or something.
That makes sense. It looks like it should be able to do that. One thing I love about this is that when you build ships this small, especially with visible components, you have to make the internal look perfect. So you obviously will put, not only will you put CG people in those scenes, in those shots, if you're far enough away, but also that it needs to be exactly the same as the physical cockpit that you've got as a set. So you can then integrate them into the same shot. So I love how much detail. You could easily put one of us in that on green screen, and it's actually, valid shot. So I just love the detail. That's why I love small ships a lot of the time. They're very extra detailed.
So I'm sure Samuel will insert Captain Foley now. No, you're not going to do that, are you?
This is a mission briefing, only for full episodes. Wait, don't say that, Sam. No, what have I done? But the next picture is a high detail, and again, these are shots you never ever got to see on the show. I didn't know there was a little nozzle with a little hole in between. I guess the exhaust to come out of the engine. All these little cables, kind of looks like pod racing engines with how many wires and things there are.
It looks like a standard engine from today's F-14. You pull it out of its housing, and that's what it looks like. It's got all these exposed bits on it and greeblies. It just looks like they just tacked those on top of the ship without a housing around them.
Yeah, maybe because they're so high performance, they need the vacuum of space to help cool them.
There you go. Why not?
Why not?
All right, so the next picture is actually very interesting. It's the interior, and again, it ties in with the F-14. That's what the monitors look like. They got the buttons on each side of the displays, especially for the guy in the back, the Rio. So again, modern military look, and at the bottom you got the little horizon little gimbal thing. So
the Pokeball.
Yes, you can tell the orientation of your ship, the Pokeball. Oh my god. I knew it looked familiar.
Yep.
No, it's because it's from aircraft. Anyway, so a lot of functionality and things that actually make sense. Nothing that's like an Alcar's display, which makes sense in a way, but it's not so futuristic that we can't relate to it. It's very much, you've seen this before, you know what it does. End of discussion.
I love the reflection in the window. Little touches like that, and it's just such a neat craft, and yeah, very functional. And again, I would love to have been on the set to physically sit in these chairs and see. This is as close as you can get. Obviously, it's pretty good shot. And you can imagine doing a green screen using other shots.
I was going to say, I feel like I've been rescued by these two pilots, and I'm just sitting in the middle of the back seat, just kind of going, okay, I can't wait to get home.
There you go. But speaking of going home, the next picture is a close-up of the door to leave. I thought I'd just throw in some more detailed shots here. You can even see the lever that you pull to get it out, and just again showing you guys the detail that you never got to see on screen. A bit of extra fun. Not much to talk about, but something cool.
Well, that leads to the next picture, which is another close-up of those front aspects.
Yes.
Now, there are two things there that kind of look like guns, perhaps, but you say probably not.
What would the guns be?
Right
yeah.
The dish there, they look like they have like burn marks around them and stuff. So
maybe. I mean, I don't ever remember them shooting from there. I don't think. I think they're more exhaust and or thrusters more likely. That'd be most.
Sense. Thrusters would make perfect sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just me, or does that front component detail, that middle section above the big box, is that like a radio? Like a very just sort of old-timey radio?
Yeah, it looks like a transmitter. I mean, even with the antennas pointing forward, it just looks like a short-range transmitter, perhaps. The one on top might be the long-range one, the AWAC style pod.
Well, that's the DRADUS. Yeah, it's the scanning.
Well, yeah. Or maybe the long-range ones are the one underneath the dish. More focused beam for longer range. I don't know.
I wonder why there are those protruding sort of fin elements.
Well, see, those are modern military aircraft too. They're actually, I forget what they're called, but they're used for an atmosphere to measure altitude and stuff because of the density of the air. So when this is an atmosphere, maybe that's what it's for.
Okay, cool. Nice.
I can't remember the name of them. It's on the tip of my tongue. Somebody's going to tell me in the comments.
Okay.
But anyway, sorry. I feel like I've failed you all. And the last picture, this is our first picture, so we're at the end of the episode, but a fantastic look at a cool little ship, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to doing the episode on the evolution of this design. So stay tuned for that, guys.
It's fair to say we have a few more models from BSG, as you guys kind of hint from this episode, almost 10 models from the show just in one episode alone. So there's some more comparative studies we're going to do on the BSG ships. Again, the real assets from the show to give you the real details only here on Fleetyards. But Stuart, have I sold you more on the ship than you were at the start of this episode?
Yeah, I never had a problem with the ship at all, and now I have even less of a problem with it. I don't know, that makes no sense. I liked it in the beginning.
Okay, I'm just checking. Sometimes it's fun to know we've won you over to the dark side.
I hate it now. I hate it now.
Of the other sci-fi universes.
I'm done with it.
And my closing thoughts: it's a wonderful ship. I really love it, and I want one.
Yeah, it looks kind of insectoid-ish from here. It looks like a little bug with like antennas everywhere. Anyway, I like it too very much. So.
And on that note, guys, if you want to support this show, go to Trekyards.com and give what you can to help the show come to you on a weekly basis, and other shows. Obviously, Trekyards we do as well. But there's another way you can help us out, Stuart, isn't there?
There is, and that's a service called Patreon, which is for YouTube creators like ourselves to kind of, keep things going, on a monthly basis. You can contribute on a monthly basis, $1, $5, $10, whatever you want to contribute. And it gives you access to our Trekyards Declassified group kind of thing. It's a few little perks like that, so check that out as well. And as always, like the video.
And subscribe to the channel and comment if you like the stuff, and if you like seeing these studio assets, please help us get to our $1,000 and beyond Patreon goal, as that is the key to producing full episodes. So you'll see new animations, new renders again of ships from the shows like this. So until next time, guys, for another ship from the sci-fi multiverse, I'm Commander Coggins.
And I'm Captain Foley.
And we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.